We in? We shooting?
Yes, sir.
CouchPotatoGM.com. We doing a 32 video series. All 32 teams. So your franchise will definitely be talked about. But right now we're in the NFC South, and we're talking about a division champ, 3 times in a row division champ, Carolina Panthers. So we're gonna talk about the past, present, and future. Their past, they were expansion team in 1995. They went through their rough patches like any expansion team. And then they got John Fox, and they really stabilized their franchise. Even getting to a Super Bowl, losing to the New England Patriots.
Cheaters.
Cheaters. Patriots are cheaters. They probably had some tapes on Carolina.
They probably did.
Spying on them. But they lost. Jake Delhomme and quarterback. They lost to them. Steve Smith, all-time best Panther. And now they're into the Cam Newton era, man.
Big boy Cam Newton, man. Can't stand the Panthers.
Okay, you hate him, huh?
I just can't stand them, man. The way they play football, that throwback,
you don't like that.
hit you in the mouth.
Bro, it's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful. I'm not a huge fan of running my quarterback, but when you got a guy like Cam Newton, you can do that. Exactly.
Linebackers are getting small.
You can do that, bro. but as speaking of linebackers, though, they got 2 of the best.
Yeah. Hey,
Thomas Davis.
Speaking of the linebackers, let's talk about their whole front 7.
Exactly.
They have 2. Like you said, they have 2 of the best linebackers. Thomas Davis
and
Kuechly.
I can't. Yeah, that's why I want you to say
Luke Kuechly.
and I want to say this. Okay, I'm a Buck fan. I don't like Carolina, but boy, Thomas Davis don't get enough respect. People don't understand.
Put some respect.
They don't understand how good this dude is. I know everybody love that Luke Kuechly and Glue.
He's a baller.
Bro, he's a baller, dog. But let's not dismiss Thomas Davis, dog. When I think about Luke Kuechly, I think about Thomas Davis. When I think about Thomas Davis, I think about Luke Kuechly. So let's give
some respect.
Yeah, put some respect on it, man. D-line, they got Coney Ely.
Oh.
They got what's the dude they just drafted? Vernon Butler.
Oof.
They got
Star and Short in there.
Short.
Yeah, man.
Them boys finna get paid. Somebody gonna have to. Somebody ain't
ain't gonna be
Short, that's that guy.
That's the baller.
I think he's a Pro Bowler. They're probably the best lineman. And then, like you say, they got Ely and
Charles Johnson.
Yeah, Charles Johnson. Man.
I mean, that front 7 is vicious and fierce, man.
And they believe in their front 7. Yeah. Enough so
much so.
Josh Norman, hey,
clear it.
We replace you.
Yeah, man. We're
clear
not gonna pay you. Pay what you want.
What you think about that? You think they're gonna still be the defense be just as dominant without him?
I don't know, man. They played a lot of zone. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a lot of man like a lot of people think. They played a lot of zone, man.
Yeah, they did.
And it affected their draft, man. They drafted 3 corners in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's gonna turn out, man. If it's me and I'm a Panther fan, I gotta believe that David Gettleman know what he's doing, and we gonna roll with it. Front 7, baby. I'm not worried about the back 4. I'm worried about the front 7. As long as the front 7 do their job, man, the back 4 gonna be just fine, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And as a Panther fan, like you say, you love your front 7, and you're gonna say, oh, and we get Kevin Benjamin back this year. Yeah. Last year the Panthers came into the season. Really shortage of receivers, had issues on their O-line.
No way possible they was gonna do anything close. Thought they was gonna be at the bottom of the division. 15-1.
Cam, yeah, he took his game to another level, man. Cam really grew up, and we were just talking about this about when he was there with Steve Smith, and the best thing that might have happened to Steve Smith, Cam, was for Steve Smith to leave.
Yeah.
It became his team, and he started dabbing, and he just started, galvanizing the team, man.
We talked about the front 7 and the impact of Josh Norman. I don't think they can be a better defense without Josh Norman. I don't think so. I think their front 7 is so good that it helps mitigate the loss. You know what I mean? It comes down to dollars and cents. Josh Norman was one of the better defensive backs in the league, and if there's any weakness on that defense, it is the secondary. Even with Josh Norman in the lineup, you could go elsewhere. You could attack them elsewhere. So, the 3 corners that they brought in, they're talking them up, they like them, they look good, and helmets and shorts. But when it comes down to it, and you're lined up against Mike Evans and Julio Jones and well, mind you, nobody can cover Julio Jones. You're facing Drew Brees. If you happen not to get there, it might be a little trouble. So again, they're in a better shape than most to lose a player of the caliber of Josh Norman, but it's difficult for me to say that they're going to be a better defense.
Yeah.
Or just as good. I don't think they fall off the face of the earth by any stretch of the imagination. They're still a top 10 defense.
Well, and now I know, there's got to be times where quarterbacks say, I'm just not going over to Josh Norman. I'm not going over there with his number 24. I'm not going to 24.
Right.
Now it is, there is no 24. So now it is, I can scheme my way to get the ball to Julio. I can scheme my way to get the ball to Mike Evans or whoever it is. You know what I'm saying? So they're exposed a little bit. We'll see we'll find out how good that front seven is for real this year because Norman's not there. You know what I'm saying? When you can eliminate one side of the ball or eliminate one player completely from the offensive side, you know what I'm saying? Defense got an advantage, but we'll find that out.
All right. So in order for Carolina to get over the hump, because I mean they were in the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? What has to happen in 2016? What do they have to do to actually come away with the Lombardi Trophy?
I think just keep playing their style of football, man. This physical, pounding, tough defense. And Cam being Superman like Cam is, I think they could be right there again.
I think that they're gonna have to. They would have to shore up the O-line. I mean, I don't know if that's shored up at the moment.
Yeah.
That
really stood out in the Super Bowl.
That's probably their other weakness. But the only thing I would say about that is don't run into Denver. You know what I'm saying? That Denver team. Don't run into a team of Denver's caliber where you have beasts all over the defense.
I felt like they didn't run the ball enough.
They couldn't.
Denver.
I don't think they could.
Yeah, the Malik Jackson boys.
You know what I'm saying? And the way Carolina runs their offense, it's a lot of max protect. You know what I'm saying? And when things break down, Cam break out. You ain't doing that against Von Miller. You ain't doing that against Malik Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
But see, here's my point. Like when you get to that point, when you're playing for all the marbles, you probably are facing a defense that can match up. That can play that kind of game. You need receivers who can create separation against the Talibs and Chris Harrises of the world.